project is a series of site-specific temporary outdoor installations, anti-monuments engaging concepts of memory and memorization. The artworks are non-partisan and make no political statements. The project is the brainchild of artist Paul Emmanuel and opened at the Freedom Park on Thursday, running until the 31st of July. He joins me now in the studio to talk about Remnants. Paul, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Before we talk about just all of the things we talked about, anti-monuments, engaging concepts of memory, give us a brief background. For the first time, people are going to hear about the Lost Men Project. What is it and what inspired it?
The Lost Men Project is a series of outdoor installations. I started it in 2004 in Grahamstown, and there was another one that went up in Mozambique, in Maputo, in 2007. And the last one I've done, which was last year, went up in northern France.
Oh.
Right next to this huge World War I memorial in the Somme, where South Africans fought and died in World War I. And you've got a traditional memorial, which is a big stone and steel or a marble structure. And I've put up something that is fragile and it is temporary. It's going to disintegrate, and it's all about, it talks to things like forgetting, remembering certain things and not others. And that's why I call it an anti-memorial. Why
is this subject of memory so important to you?
I think it started with experiencing loss, personal loss in my life many, many years ago. And I think that as an artist, and that affected me very deeply, and it is a very emotional subject. And just my personal loss has its roots in the collective of South Africa, in the country that I live in, the town, the city that I find myself in. And I wanted to make something that talks about not just my personal loss, but about loss that is experienced by everybody. And that's where, and because of the sorrow and the pathos of it, of experiencing loss, my interest in war and the military, I'm very interested in ideas of masculinity, and that is something that's a universal idea. And the military and memory all crystallized in this sort of idea of making a memorial to loss.
But you've created a project that's, in its very nature, is almost ongoing. You talked about something that's fragile, that disintegrates over time. So it's part of that psyche. Was that from the onset? Was that the aim, to create something that was an ongoing project?
Yes, it was. Although the path that it has taken wasn't exactly preordained. I mean, there's a bit of organic stuff happening here. The opportunities come when they come, but the ideas, we send out proposals we choose certain sites, and I work with a project manager, so it's the strategy for the project is worked out beforehand. And then, you know, sometimes opportunities come your way and you grab them. And of course, money is always the issue. So when the money comes through and the opportunities come through, you grab them.
It allows you freedom.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, one of your projects has been selected by, and we were practicing this, the Mission du Centenaire.
Mission du Centenaire de la Première Guerre mondiale.
Yeah, exactly that. Talk to me about it being selected and how it was selected and what that actually means.
Okay, so the World War I centenary started last year, 2014, 100 years after 1914, which is when World War I started. In France, they have this huge program running that's running for 4 years, from 2014 to 2018. And I submitted my project to them, and they selected it.
Wow.
And that is, it's an office in Paris. They've got a program in France that has thousands of projects, and of course it received some funding, and that was how it happened.
Paul, let's very quickly talk about Freedom Park, because we want everybody to go and experience it, to go and look at it. Just quickly talk to me about Remnants at Freedom Park and why this is such it's an iconic world venue.
Freedom Park was the perfect venue for having an exhibition of this nature. So At Freedom Park, you're going to see the remnants, the remains, which is all that remains from what I put up in France. So there were these huge silk banners with photographs of my body and the names of the servicemen pressed into my skin. Those banners were put outdoors next to this memorial. They were whipped and shredded and torn by the winds of the Somme, the weather, the rain, the sunlight. And in Freedom Park, in the museum, are what remains. So you're going to see these huge banners with my skin, photographs of my skin with the names on them, but they've been really worn and shredded. And that's basically, it fills up the entire gallery. They're 5 meters by 5 meters.
So
and they've
massive.
got huge holes in them, and they're torn and ripped.
Wow, that's going to be an amazing exhibition to view. Thank you very much for joining us in studio, and I'm sure everybody needs to go and check it out. Artist Paul Emmanuel speaking to us about the Lost Men Project, which is a series of site-specific temporary outdoor installations, anti-monuments, engaging concepts of memory and memorization. Remnants opened at Freedom Park on Thursday and runs until the 31st of July. Everybody needs to go and check it out. Please go. We'll take an ad break after this.